What is your favorite thing in your saved section? I have saved this post so that if by some stroke of fate I do wind up winning the lottery, I know what to do with myself. The AskReddit thread with the question: you and a super intelligent snail both get $1 million and you both become immortal. You die if the snail touches you. It always knows where you are and slowly crawls toward you. What's your plan? Edit. Sorry for forgetting to put the link. It was like 1 AM when I posted this. Cup noodle. I can jerk off my D, but I can't jerk off my heart. NSFW, but it cracks me the duck up every time. Edit. Thanks for my first gold ever, you awesome anonymous bastard you. You Lupin8 wrote this on an AskReddit thread about ideas for a depressing Pixar film 3-4 years ago. Link. A teenage boy and his girlfriend. They are happy and very in love. But tragedy strikes. The boy gets drunk at a party, drives home with her, gets in an accident, and she is killed. He feels horrible, naturally, but the girl isn't gone. She returns to the world as a ghost, not willing to pass on and be without her love. Unfortunately, he can neither see or hear her. She can whisper things in his ear and be perceived subconsciously, move small objects when he isn't looking, but never make her presence really known. For a while she is content to simply follow him around and comfort him as best she can. It even seems she may be having a positive effect. She is able to subtly influence him to quit drinking, clean up his act, and turn his life around. All seems well in a bittersweet way. Things start to change as time passes. The boy gets older. The ghost does not. He starts to move past her death, no longer gazing longingly at the pictures of them together, not visiting her grave as much. While the ghost wants to see him happy, she is miserable that she is being forgotten, as she isn't changing and still feels love for him. A few years pass, and the now young adult man starts dating other women. The ghost is upset and jealous. She starts to sabotage his dates, causing little accidents, using her ability to be subconsciously heard to make him say awkward things, basically being rich and ruining the young man's relationships. Unable to find happiness, the young man begins to backslide. He starts drinking again. He gets in fights. He loses his job. His life is turning to it. Ghost girl feels terrible, until one night the man takes too many sleeping pills and almost dies. A horrible plan occurs to her. If he commits suicide then he'll be dead too and they can finally be together. She starts to egg him on to more and more self-destructive acts, whispering poisonous thoughts in his ear, trying to make him hate himself. He shuts out family and friends. He buys a gun and doesn't really know why. The girl hates to do this, but it's the only way. Throughout the film, we've seen other people haunted by ghosts. At first this seems harmless. There's a man whose father still follows him and gives advice. A mother who lost her daughter, but the girl still walks around holding her hand. The spirit of a young boy's dog still romps behind him. These ghosts can see each other, and are the typical Pixar cast of quirky side characters. At last the young man seems to hit rock bottom and is ready to end it all. Not wanting to watch her love die, the ghost departs to leave him to it. She heads to the park and sees some of the other people with ghosts. But now she notices things she hasn't before. The ghostly father's advice, always critical, seems downright abusive, constantly berating his son for his failure and inadequacy, and the son looks miserable. The little girl's mother can't look at a child playing without tearing up. The ghost dog is gone, however, and the now older boy has a new pet and is happy. The girl realizes that what she is doing is wrong. She rushes back to the man, who is moments away from shooting himself. She begs him not to go through with it, pleads and cries, but is unheard. Eventually she is just barely able to direct his attention to the neglected photos of them together as happy teenagers, and he puts the gun down, picks up the phone, and calls a suicide hotline. Man enters therapy, joins a group to quit drinking again, takes medication. It's long and hard but he makes it. The girl is happy, but she seems to be fading slowly as the months pass. She thinks she might be finally letting go and crossing over, a reward for having saved him. Eventually she departs with a smile. Twist ending. There was no ghost. That was his guilt and depression personified. It was always his own subconscious, the part of him that hated and blamed himself for the girl's death. Sure, the guilt drove him to quit drinking once, but the fact that he couldn't move on drove him into ever deeper despair. All the people with ghosts are the same way, haunted by their pasts. Last shot is him walking down the street. Content. But as we zoom out we see just how many of the people around him have ghosts, and how widespread the problem is. This is an amazing way to explain love. I'm not mansplaining or trying to discount how you feel, I'm offering a perspective that might help. Believe me, I know what it's like to dislike your body. I got zapped in Iraq and I've got some unsightly scars, and I sometimes struggle to accept that I'll never be as physically capable as I used to be. Ducking sucks sometimes. Anyway, I wish I could let you into a man's head as he's falling in love with a woman. It's a process that's so alien, so strange, that I'm afraid you've got to experience it to believe it. But it's as real as death and taxes. Sometimes, a guy will meet a gal and think nothing of it. Maybe she's a coworker, classmate, or his buddy's friend. She gets mentally categorized as female, acquaintance, feelings neutral. Then, he gets to know her better. If they mesh personality wise, something fascinating happens in the man's mind. He starts to notice things about her appearance, pleasant things. It starts small. One day he realizes he likes looking at the curve of her nose, or where her earlobe meets her face. It's nothing he can put his finger on or describe. Really, just that looking at that part of her makes him feel good. He starts wanting to do that more. Then, he notices an expression she makes, could be her genuine belly laugh, or the way she furrows her brow in concern, and he gets a little flutter in his chest. They stay friendly for a while, get to know each other better. Then, one day, she hugs him goodbye and he can't stop thinking about it. He plays it over and over in his head, the feel of her breasts through 2 shirts, her arms around his back, her smell. He finds these little mental movies of her playing unbidden when he's driving somewhere, squeezing out his other usual daydreams. Shortly thereafter, the guy realizes that whenever he looks at this woman, he feels good. He likes her lines, her curves, her sounds and smells. It's like she's gradually turned from a black and white photo into a 3D color movie with surround sound. A perfect movie that makes him feel good. He starts wondering what he can do to keep her around, to make her happy. He realizes that he likes looking at her more than any other human being in the world. To him, she is perfect and beautiful. A man in love with a woman doesn't see her objectively. There is a filter there, or some kind of participatory illusion. He does not see who you see in the mirror. He is seeing someone beautiful and perfect and sublime. And it's one of the most powerful things in his life. Go watch a happy old couple that's been married for decades. Watch the man's eyes. Sure, he may appreciate some young woman's ass in yoga pants or whatever, but watch his eyes when he's looking at his spouse. If you're paying close enough attention, you can almost see the filter click on when his gaze settles on her. In that moment, he's not seeing the same frumpy empty nester that you or I see. He's seeing something wonderful. Know it. If I hadn't lived this stuff, I wouldn't believe it either. But it's true. When I'm feeling down and low, this GIF swerves to the rescue. This is a story worth telling. Save it. One of the funniest things I've ever read. All hail dog. This one. Lady IT's $7.50 an hour not to beat your ass. You really think you're worth that right now? Holy at patati, I chose well. The story of the bus night. Gets me every time. How to moonwalk. This dog cracks me up. BL. Edit. Thanks for the gold. From you Woodinio. Mortani have a freckle on my D. I understand it's relatively normal but it's not something I brag about. More than the freckle lies smack bang in the middle of my shaft. It is a dark brown color, and it is mostly oval shaped. If you run your fingers over it, cute girls reading this, I highly recommend this activity. For science, then you wouldn't feel it. It is very much a part of my skin. In fact, it's like one tiny part of me, on the shaft of my D, is brown. I wouldn't go as far to call me African American, however, as I'm very much white and Australian. But, as a child, it did make me wonder, more than now. My older sister, let's call her Rebecca, is a twin. Technically, but her twin died while it was still developing in the womb. So she's not really a twin. But, anyway, Rebecca has a mole on her neck. This mole, my mother used to say, was the undeveloped fetus. My childhood brain believed this to be the case. That, when people died, they'd attach their crumpled and tiny bodies onto other living beings as a slightly unsettling method of attaining immortality, and guide their living host through life. A little bit like a guardian angel. More than my grandmother used to work with indigenous Australians in remote communities in outback Australia. One day while at her house, she decided to go through her photo album. Most of these photos had 3 things in common: my grandmother, my grandfather, and a black man. I asked my grandmother who the black man is. That's Robert. Wadeniel. Well, how come I've never seen Robert before? He's gone. Gone where? My grandmother paused for a moment. She wanted to say this delicately to her 6-year-old. He's dead. Oh, he died about the same time you were born. I asked my mother about this when I got home. She could confirm. More than now. Let's cast our mind back to 2 paragraphs ago and recall the belief that dead people attached themselves to the living. With this belief in mind, we shall head back to my D. We should head to the little brown spot on my D. To be exact, I came to a sudden realization that night in my bed when I got home. The brown freckle on my D was a dead person. Robert was also a dead person, who happened to have dark skin. I put 2 and 2 together and came to the only logical conclusion. Robert is my phallus-bound guardian angel. Morphandle. Dr. a dead man. Robert inhabits the shaft of my D as my guardian angel. Original link. Edit. Wow. That's the quickest I've been gilded at only 1 upvote. Sir, I am not a computer person. An all-time classic, The Potato Guy. Tifu by enraging the parents of my girlfriend by pretending not to know what a potato is. NSFW. Cracks me up every time. Edit. This is officially my top rated comment. Thanks grandma. Oh. Hi. This is the most motivating post on Reddit. The dude got 74 golds for this post. Ukrainian military band. A Creole angle thesis. This video makes me laugh every time. Makes me giggle to the point where my wife has forbid me to watch it in bed. This thing. Slightly NSFW. Worst job ever. NSFW. Belly rubs. Time to get classy. Good evening ladies and gentlemen. 1. Get out your drink of choice. 2. Open 3 tabs on your favorite browser. 3. On the first tab. 4. Second tab. 5. Third tab. Thanks you Hazasamuski for bringing this thread to my attention with this post. The original is now 7 years old and the endless outer blinks no longer work, but it is still one of the most magical on Reddit. This will be in a few hours. As a man of the PC master race, who can't appreciate this pic? Edit. Added that comma and question mark. I swear I got an A in English class. Posted by Urona about 6 years ago. This is just the absolute best thing I've come across on Reddit. This and the Rice Kid. Gonna copy pasta it as it is. Just about every time I see someone I stop. I kind of got out of the habit in the last couple of years. Moved to a big city and all that. My girlfriend wasn't too stoked on the practice. Then something happened to me that changed me and I am back to offering rides habitually. If you would indulge me. It is long story and has almost nothing to do with hitchhiking other than happening on a road. This past year I have had 3 instances of car trouble. A blowout on a freeway, a bunch of blown fuses and an out of gas situation. All of them were while driving other people's cars, which, for some reason, makes it worse on an emotional level. It makes it worse on a practical level as well. What with the fact that I carry things like a jack and extra fuses in my car, and know enough not to park facing downhill on a steep incline with less than a gallon of fuel. Anyway, each of these times this had happened I was disgusted with how people would not bother to help me. I spent hours on the side of the freeway waiting, watching roadside assistance vehicles blow past me, for AAA to show. The 4 gas stations I asked for a gas can told me that they couldn't loan them out for my safety, but I could buy a really itty 1-gallon one with no cap for $15. It was enough each time to make you say it like this country is going to hell in a handbasket. But you know who came to my rescue all 3 times? Immigrants. Mexican immigrants. None of them spoke a lick of the language, but one of those dudes had a profound effect on me. He was the guy that stopped to help me with a blowout with his whole family of 6 in tow. I was on the side of the road for close to 4 hours. Big geep, blown rear tire, had a spare but no jack. I had signs in the windows of the car, big signs that said need a jack and offered money, no dice. Right as I am about to give up and just hitch out there, a van pulls over and dude bounds out. He sizes the situation up and calls for his youngest daughter who speaks English. He conveys through her that he has a jack but it is too small for the Jeep, so we will need to brace it. He produces a saw from the van and cuts a log out of a downed tree on the side of the road. We rolled it over, put his jack on top, and bam, in business. I start taking the wheel off and, if you can believe it, I broke his tire iron. It was one of those collapsible ones and I wasn't careful and I snapped the head I needed clean off. Duck, no worries. He runs to the van, gives it to his wife and she is gone in a flash. Down the road to buy a tire iron. She is back in 15 minutes. We finish the job with a little sweat and cussing. Stupid log was starting to give, and I am a very happy man. We are both filthy and sweaty. The wife produces a large water jug for us to wash our hands in. I tried to put a 20 in the man's hand but he wouldn't take it, so I instead gave it to his wife as quietly as I could. I thanked them up one side and down the other. I asked the little girl where they lived, thinking maybe I could send them a gift for being so awesome. She says they live in Mexico. They are here so mommy and daddy can pick peaches for the next few weeks. After that they are going to pick cherries then go back home. She asks if I have had lunch and when I told her no, she gave me a tamale from their cooler. The best ducking tamale I have ever had. So, to clarify, a family that is undoubtedly poorer than you, me, and just about everyone else on that stretch of road, working on a seasonal basis where time is money, took an hour or 2 out of their day to help some strange dude on the side of the road when people in tow trucks were just passing me by. Whoa, but we aren't done yet. I thank them again and walk back to my car and open the foil on the tamale cause I am starving at this point, and what do I find inside? My ducking $20 bill. I whirl around and run up to the van and the guy rolls his window down. He sees the $20 in my hand and just shaking his head no like he won't take it. All I can think to say is poor favor, poor favor, poor favor with my hands out. Dude just smiles, shakes his head and, with what looked like great concentration, tried his hardest to speak to me in English. Today you, tomorrow me, rolled up his window, drove away, his daughter waving to me in the rear view. I sat in my car eating the best ducking tamale of all time and I just cried, like a little girl. It has been a rough year and nothing has broke my way. This was so out of left field I just couldn't deal. In the 5 months since I have changed a couple of tires, given a few rides to gas stations and, once, went 50 miles out of my way to get the girl to an airport. I won't accept money. Every time I tell them the same thing when we are through. Today you, tomorrow me, TLDR. Long rambling story about how the kindness of strangers, particularly folks from south of the border, force me to be more helpful on the road and in life in general. I am sure it won't be as meaningful to anyone else, but it was seriously the highlight of my 2010. Here's mine. This always makes me chuckle. Birth of a veterinarian. I can't find it, but it was an AskReddit question about which actor/actress were secretly gay. All answers were Tom Cruise. People were talking about Joyo's bizarre adventure poses, and the person asked how can someone do this pose in real life, and someone on a Spanish Facebook page was able to replicate that pose. Gay silence, SFW, edit, context for those who are interested. The racist field trip. Blind girl and her cat still make me laugh. The other saved are mostly our shower thoughts, our cool guides and our writing prompts. Dead chicken with old milk. NSFW I suppose. Russian woman flying down a mountain in a wingsuit. Personal favorite of mine. Life is a lie. Under a mountain of our porn in 15 seconds gifs, I found this cute, funny safe for work gif.